In the first episode of Season 2, we take a look at the future of IT, all the way to the year 2018. Hello, and welcome to Season 2 of the ExploreVM podcast. I want to thank all of my listeners who are returning from Season 1, and welcome all of our new listeners who might be joining us for this first episode. Today we're going to take a look at looking forward into 2018, it's still new into the year, and what technology trends some people in our community think we're going to see. But before we begin, I do have a co-host with this episode because I didn't think anybody wanted to listen to me talk to myself. I'd like to introduce once again one of my close friends, Rob.
Hello, good to be here.
So, now this episode is going to be aired or released on February 5th, the day after the big professional sports football championship game. Yes, that should avoid legal ramifications. What did you think of that game?
No, I liked it. I was happy the Americans did so well.
Yeah, the team in blue and the team in green, they were doing good. They were doing real good. When that guy threw the ball to the other guy,
the other guy got him.
That was spectacular. Just spectacular. All right, so enough sports ball. Why don't we go ahead and kick off this show with our first grouping of clips.
Hi, this is Adam Berg. I am the Data Center Practice Director for Presidio. You can follow me on Twitter at ajberg. I also blog at thepartlycloudyblog.com. So 2018, it's really shaping up to be a really, really interesting year in tech. And you know, I've been kind of thinking about what's really going to take off. You know, there's already a lot of momentum, obviously, around things like hyper-converged architectures, things like obviously hybrid cloud architectures and scale-out architectures. But some of the things that maybe not everyone's talking about that are really set to explode this year in 2018, I'd like to talk about. One of the things that I'm really excited about, and we're starting to see really take off, are NVMe technologies. And I'm not just talking about NVMe like 3D XPoint. I'm talking about things like NVMe over Fabric. Now, if you don't know what NVMe over Fabrics are, it's a way to interconnect NVMe devices over what we might traditionally think of as a LAN or a SAN. We're already starting to see some of the major manufacturers even come out with NVMe over Fabric technology. So this is going to allow us to take some of the low latency SSD technologies that we've seen, where we're already down into the 0.5, 0.3 millisecond latency with traditional SSD, SAN, and LAN architectures, and take those down to sub 0.1 millisecond architectures with 3D XPoint and NVMe over Fabric technologies. There's a lot of really cool startups out there that are already bringing products to market that you're going to start to hear about. One that's really exciting to me is a startup called Accelero. And even one of the big boys just released their first NVMe over Fabric product when NetApp released their latest E-Series product line, which supports 100 gig NVMe over InfiniBand, which is pretty exciting. And they've got plans to launch NVMe over Fabric in their flagship ONTAP product line this year. And they're not the only ones. Stay tuned for what Dell EMC is going to be launching this year in NVMe over Fabric. Pure Storage has plans for NVMe over Fabric. They've already got full NVMe solutions for backend connectivity for their storage architectures with NVMe over Fabrics coming shortly this year. So this is a really, really hot area of technology that if you're not talking about it right now, I'd say mid 2018, late summer, you're going to be hearing all the rage, all the tech talking about NVMe over Fabric. The other hot piece of technology that you're going to be hearing a lot more about this year is the accessibility of machine learning to the masses. Machine learning used to be this geeky data scientist sort of, I don't even understand how machine learning works or how to get access to it. This is now 2018 accessible to everyone. You have services from AWS and Azure that you can swipe your credit card now and take advantage of machine learning on your data sets that you have today. So take a look if you haven't seen some of the services from Amazon. One that's really cool is one called Amazon Recognition. This allows you to basically point machine learning at a image data set and have machine learning crawl through your image data set and tag metadata around everything that it sees inside your images. It could be a man and a woman, happy or sad. You're at a beach, it's a sunny day, and have it put all this metadata around what's happening in those images, and then allow you to search and categorize this huge data set based on machine learning. They also have a machine learning for audio. It's similar. They call it Amazon Comprehend. Similar. Stick it in. Point this thing at your audio data sets. Maybe you're a call center and you're recording audio. You want to find out, are we doing a good job with customer service? Are my customer reps angry or mad or contentious? Stick some metadata around those conversations so you can search and help define what's happening in those conversations without actually having to listen to all of them. Microsoft Azure has a really accessible machine learning toolkit that anybody can graphically, in a GUI type format, get access to machine learning tools. So machine learning for the masses is here. 2018, this thing is going to explode. 2018, this is the year I'm calling the Touch the Cloud year. And what I mean by touch the cloud is that if you're a software vendor and you're an enterprise in the data center space, if your applications, if your software is not touching the cloud in some meaningful way, you are irrelevant. 2018 is the year where your software must have some native cloud integrations, whether that's being able to move data back and forth within the cloud, have some integration into these Amazon, these AWS, these Azure, these Google Cloud Service platforms, to take advantage of the services that are there. Your software will quickly not take hold on the marketplace. You must be able to touch the cloud with your software. 2018 is the year where you will see a big make or break for the legacy software vendors that haven't embraced touching the public cloud in any meaningful way. They will quickly become irrelevant. The other thing that to kind of springboard off that, if you're a hardware vendor, if you are not trying to mimic or scale and offer cloud-like services with your hardware, you are going to quickly become irrelevant to the hyperscalers in 2018. So my prediction is you're going to see most of the major vendors that are playing in the on-premises hardware space releasing more and more cloud-like architectures, scale-out architectures, pay-as-you-grow, pay-as-you-go, OpEx model type architectures with their hardware. So this is sort of, again, the cloud influence coming back down from the cloud and influencing what's happening in the data center space. So 2018 is the year that you're going to start to see legacy, non-scalable, non-cloud-like hardware architectures and software architectures phase out. And 2018, you're really going to see these hardware architectures mimic cloud-like service and scalability.
So, since 2018 is the year of Touch the Cloud, will 2018 finally be the year of VDI?
Oh, it's 20. I think the year of VDI has come and gone. We are now in the personal device, bring your own device marketplace. People want tablets. People want mobility. People are going to bring the data. You need to bring the data to the device rather than bringing your user to the data. So this is not the year I'm going to say this is the year of VDI. I think the people have been saying that, just like it's the year of the cloud. They've been saying that for the last 4 or 5 years. No, we are now in the mobile bring your own device economy. You bring the data and the services down to the user wherever they are on any device that they are, anywhere on any network.
Where do you see cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin going in 2018? Do you see it taking off as a legitimate thing, or is it the bubble going to burst?
That's a great one. I probably should have talked about cryptocurrency and blockchain. So, blockchain as an overall concept is something that's really, really intriguing, really going to take off. You're going to start seeing some of the major banks embrace blockchain technology. You're going to see a lot of non-currency or money uses for blockchain blockchain technology coming out. So I'm really excited about blockchain technology. Cryptocurrency, boy, things like Bitcoin, it's just kind of skyrocketing up and up and up. And where's the ceiling for this thing? If I could predict where cryptocurrency's ceiling was or floor was, I'd be a pretty wealthy guy. I can't predict that. I thought the ceiling was, we've already blown past where I thought the ceiling was for something like Bitcoin. What we're starting to see now are a lot of alternative currencies coming out that are really intriguing, and you might see some of the money move away from Bitcoin, which is starting to show its age. You can't even get a transaction done in a timely manner. Bitcoin is slowly not becoming a currency that you can actually buy and sell goods with in a timely fashion. The blockchain is just not made for that now. So you're going to start to see things that are a little bit more private, some things that are faster transactions. So there's some interesting cryptocurrencies out there like Ethereum, like Monero. Monero is one of those cryptocurrencies that's designed around ultimate privacy. It's even more private transactions than Bitcoin. So you might start seeing some of those start to shoot up, and Bitcoin start to lose some of its momentum once people start getting a hold and start understanding some of these other cryptocurrencies that are out there that might have a little bit more day-to-day value than simply investments.
Hello, my name is Edward Haletke, aka TechSciWill, anywhere out on the interwebs. I write at www.astrology.com/blog and virtualizationpractice.com. And I've already looked at what's happening in 2018. I think it's going to be a little bit more of the same. It's going to be more brutal attacks. But I think what's going to really end up happening is there's going to be a lot more hype than attack. And there's going to be hype for political reasons. There's going to be hype for vendor reasons. I mean, like, for example, Google has really hyped this Meltdown Spectre attack because they really want to change to the processors. I get that. But you got to actually look below the actual attack to find out if it's really actually anything. While this one is, and everybody should patch, there's others that have been hyped in the past and hyped in the future, that are going to be hyped in the future that have other ways of mitigating the problem. And that's the thing. You got to be able to plan and not react. I see it going to be a lot more planning than reacting in the future as well. And that's the security side. I think that this is going to be the first year that multi-cloud is really a thing. It's not going to just be hybrid cloud where it's data center and cloud, but it's going to be data center, cloud, and cloud. It's going to be the true multi-cloud, what I would really call the true hybrid cloud. And it's going to be based on the fact that no one vendor, no one cloud provider is going to provide everything that anybody needs. They're going to go with whatever is the most cost effective. And then move the workloads around or recreate them where they need to be. As more SaaS becomes available for some key functionality, sort of like Lambda and Azure's Insights for big data, there's going to be people moving to their data where it needs to go. And we're already seeing some of that. I think that this is the year cloud and security are they're going to take security very, very seriously in the cloud. They've already started it, but they got to take it more seriously. And it's not just about, hey, are the clouds more secure than your data center? It's really about how can I prove they're more secure than the data centers. So there's going to be a lot of movement on applying, granting visibility into the cloud and deeper into it. Amazon does quite a bit of that. The other clouds are going to follow suit. I see that's going to be a big deal in the future. I also think that there's going to be a lot more companies in the IT as a service space, or specifically performance and monitoring, security monitoring, and any other type of monitoring that are going to be looking at second order machine learning, not just basing it on thresholds and the outliers, but it's going to be the outliers of outliers. It's going to be what I would call second order machine learning approaching AI. And that's good. That's where we're heading. And I think there's going to be a lot more companies moving towards there as well and getting there. They may not be truly AI, but I think that's the end goal. I also think that this is going to be the first, the grid cards, the NVIDIA grid cards, the AMD graphics cards are going to come for just the average desktop. It's not going to be the high-end desktops anymore. It's going to be everybody. We're already seeing some movement in that direction. I think that's going to continue. And anybody that's selling VDI stations or systems that are not selling grid with it or some sort of GPU with it are going to be falling behind. So those are my predictions. Let's see if they come true.
So one question I will be asking everybody is, will 2018 finally be the year of VDI?
No. I think you're going to be movement of, I think the year of VDI has already happened. VDI is pretty pervasive, but it's not a massive uplift. It's sort of an upgrade. So as more and more people use older laptops and so forth to maintain their usage, they may move to a VDI or move back. We're seeing a bit of both happening right now. So, but if they don't have GPUs, a lot more people are going to have bad user experience. So I think it's going to be a lot more moving down of GPU utilization to the lower end of VDI, but I'm not sure this is going to be the year of VDI. I just think people are going to just either adopt it or they're already doing it.
Where do you see cryptocurrencies going in 2018? Are they finally going to get a little bit more mainstream, or are they going to fizzle out and the bubble's going to burst?
I don't know. There's actually nation states looking at creating their own cryptocurrency now so that they can get around sanctions. That's a big deal. If that actually does happen, cryptocurrency is going to take a leap. If it doesn't happen, if it ends up being regulated just like regular currency, I have a feeling the bubble's going to burst. It's really going to depend on what ends up happening in the governments of the world, what's going to happen with cryptocurrency. The thing is that what most people getting into cryptocurrency now don't realize is that if you can mine it, you can keep it. So if you're not mining it and you're just buying it, you're at the whim of the market. If you're mining it, it's kind of like finding gold. You can keep it, sell it, do whatever you want, but it's not something you paid for except for the energy and the compute power to find it. And that's getting higher and higher and higher. So right now, the average person would take forever to mine it. So I'm seeing a lot of, and that's to get a full coin of sorts. You can get partials all the time, but getting a full coin is going to be rather intriguing. I just don't see that happening. So will the bubble eventually burst? I think it will. But you also got to remember, as they continue to mine, the next coin is exponentially harder to get. So that's where we're at with Bitcoin, for example. It's exponentially harder to get. When you start talking about Ethereum and Zcash and all the other ones, they're not they're exponentially, but they're not to the level of Bitcoin's complexity to find. So those coins and those caches are going to be there. There may be a large exchange, but they're targets right now. We're seeing a lot of that in the industry. I'm not going to predict what's going to happen. It will continue to go up for a while. How long? I'm not a financial analyst. I'm just looking at it as a technology. Eventually, there's got to be a point where people just give up on it because they can't get it themselves, and it's too hard to get. I mean, how many people buy gold, for example? There's going to be certain people that buy it, certain people that don't. The price of gold will continue to go up. The price of this type of cryptocurrencies may continue to go up unless they find more faults. And then it'll just come crashing down. And they've been finding faults.
All right, so Robs, what was the one thing that jumped out of you in that section?
Well, I do like that nobody wanted to take an actual stand on what's going to happen with crypto. Everyone seemed to just say, "Well, I don't know. It's already surpassed my expectations, and maybe it'll keep going up, maybe it'll go down." Seems like it kind of depends on what people are going to do. This like a lot of what's going to happen in tech. You know, it really is based on what the actual tech is about, but for crypto, it's going to depend on how many people are going to actually adopt it and what they want to do with it. So I guess we'll see what happens there.
So is that your official stance then?
Yeah, I guess it has to be.
I will say, listening to Adam talk about Touch the Cloud, it made me think of Kanye West and Touch the Sky. I'm going to look into seeing if I can splice a small clip of that in here between interviews there. I do think that we're going to see a lot more machine learning this year. Big data is definitely a thing, and we're going to see more and more of that artificial intelligence working its way into our everyday lives.
Yeah, for sure. It's just moving ever forward, it seems like. We've got Alexa in our houses. We've got Facebook suggesting ads for us. You know, you think about something and it shows up on your Facebook feed, and it's just nuts.
Yeah, that's a little terrifying. You can say it out loud, then within a few minutes it's on your on your feed.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's go ahead and listen to our next clip. This is Brian Kirsch of VMUG fame.
Hello, my name is Brian Kirsch. I'm an instructor at MATC, and I'm a author at TechTarget and a content contributor over at VMUG. So Paul was kind enough to ask me to give a few thoughts on what's coming up with 2018. Like everything we're starting to see is year of the cloud, year of VDI, year of security. Everybody's got this huge focus on all three of those. What I actually see, though, is actually getting some of those pieces to get in and start working. We've seen a huge adoption with cloud services, and we're seeing, VMware Cloud on AWS. We're seeing NSX coming into the picture. We're seeing more with Azure, VDI inside Azure. But everybody's on the fringe of it. Nobody's really gone too deep in it. Part of it's been cost. Part of it's been it's too new. I think 2018 is going to be the year where more and more people kind of get their feet wet. But I also see this no longer being a enterprise-only playground. The SMB, the commercial, are embracing it. The costing is going to be more friendly for the smaller companies. We're going to see more and more companies get into that realm of being able to adopt some of these services that only the enterprise could do a year ago. You're going to start to see, more emphasis on security, NSX, microsegmentation, but you're also going to see those abilities come down into the SMB and the commercial markets. I think 2018 is going to be the year where the enterprises fully start to embrace this, and the SMBs and the commercials get the opportunity to start actually getting into those products and starting to make use of them. The VDI aspect, we've got the Microsoft Azure cloud. We've got Citrix, kind of pushing into that realm as well. Going to start to see more thin clients, more of the, Chromebooks, things like that, and starting to see more and more applications getting pushed. It works for the cloud. It works for software as a service. It tends to balance itself out. So this year, I'm not quite sure you're going to see a lot that's revolutionary, but you're going to see a lot that's evolutionary. You're going to see a lot of things that start to get embraced, start to get deployed, start to get a good foothold, and it's going to go across all the business segments. And that's really going to be the key with this. So it doesn't matter if you're at a small company, enterprise, everyone's going to get a little exposure to this. And that's a good thing. It's going to help with security. It's going to help with actual, licensing aspects. It's going to help with uptime on applications. So this will be the year where a lot of this actually starts to take that foothold and starts to get embraced. On the downside, you're going to see a little bit less in the data centers, a little bit less on the infrastructure side. So that might be a little touchy. You're going to see more of the hyper-converged take hold. So you're going to see less of the traditional rack and stack, more converged infrastructure, a little bit less of the big storage, a little bit less of the fiber optic, and see things, reduce the footprint in the data center in favor of these new converged solutions and software as a service, platform as a service in the cloud. So while everything's been building to it, this is going to be the year where a lot of it really starts to take hold. So look for big gains in the cloud, look for big gains in network security, security in general, and keep an eye out for the virtual desktops and the application push. It's been talked about for years, but it's really starting to gain hold. I see a lot with products like AirWatch and the mobile device management. That is only growing, and it is going to explode in 2018.
What's your thoughts on cryptocurrencies? Do you think they're going to become more mainstream, or is the bubble going to burst and everyone's going to kind of be left holding the bag on that one?
That is such an interesting question. There's a value as long as people are willing to pay for them. And that goes with anything that's got a touch of interest at the moment. So the cryptocurrencies, obviously, Bitcoin and Dogcoin now or whatever it is, they've had explosive growth and we've seen a huge benefit to them, but they're only valuable as long as somebody says they are. And recently in the news, I believe it was South Korea made mention they were going to ban it. And that caused the entire market of the crypto coins to drop like a rock. So whenever you can have one or two countries make a blanket statement and cause an entire currency to drop like a rock, that to me tells me it's going to be pretty volatile and unreliable. So I'm not quite sure where the future is going to be with it. I wouldn't sink my money into it at the moment, but that's me being a little cautious.
The other question I'm asking everybody is 2018 can finally be the year of VDI, but you already mentioned that so much in there. I'm not even going to throw that out there. So,
yeah, I think we're going to see it take off. But it's been many, many years where everybody's talked about the year of the VDI. It's been that way for probably 4 or 5 years. The only reason that it's somewhat taking more hold right now is you're seeing a much more mature application delivery platform. Whether you're doing, the Citrix platform or just a pure SaaS solution. When you have the ability to have the application streamed on demand and the endpoints, whether it be Chromebooks or iPads or Android tablets, if you're able to stream it and make it, whether it be touch friendly or mobile friendly, that has truly opened up the whole VDI thing. The only downside to this is actually the Microsoft aspect. Because if you're just streaming an application in a web browser, the question is, do you still need Windows anymore? And that's getting to be a touchy subject. And it's a subject Microsoft doesn't want to approach. But as more and more applications are web-based, do you really need that actual base Microsoft operating system? And for the typical user of email and a few core applications, that's all done within a web browser. So they don't necessarily need a Windows OS. And once you remove that cost, that does open up VDI for the masses.
Hello, everyone. Once again, the ExploreVM podcast is looking for guests for Season 2. We've got some great content lined up and want to keep the show rolling. Do you have a product, project, or solution you think can help others? Was your abstract rejected for a conference but you'd still like to present your idea? Or do you simply just wish to share your story? Please contact me at paul@explorevm.com or ping me on Twitter. Let the ExploreVM podcast help your brand and help others grow. Now, back to the show. Well, I would say I disagree with Brian a little bit on the fact that it's cloud adoption has been so much edge cases. I think a lot of companies spent last year kind of feeling it out, especially from what I've seen. And I think they're going to dive more headlong into cloud initiatives, whether it's moving some, if not all, of their infrastructure into the cloud, or if it's a hybrid public-private cloud model.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be gathering steam at any rate. I can't say for certain if that's going to be the big push this year, but it's certainly more popular than it was a year ago.
Yeah. So what do you think is going to be a trend for 2018 or a prediction outside of being wishy-washy on cryptocurrencies?
Putting me on the spot, huh? I guess I'll echo the whole VDI thing. I'm on a 5-person development team, and just over the last 4 months, we've all been transitioned to VDIs. It's from a administration perspective, it's just really handy. You know, you can spin one up in almost no time. Someone's machine crashes, everything's backed up. You can just put them back to where they were, spin up a new one if you need to, and get going from there. It's for large companies, I think you just can't beat it. I think there's going to be a lot more of that this year.
Well, before we listen to our final clip, I do want to say thank you to my co-host for this episode, Robs.
No problem.
And as we discussed in the end of the episode last season, you don't have any social aspects, no Twitters, no nothing you're working on you want to make public at this time?
No, I just do it for kicks.
All right. Well, once again, thank you. And so next up is our final clip of the show. It's completely different, forward-looking than the previous 3 clips. I think it's actually a very important message, and I'm hoping it hits home with more than a few people.
All right. Hey, my name is John Hildebrand. You may have seen me on Twitter at the handle of @SnoopJ123, or who knows, maybe you've also been to a VMUG, especially a UserCon in the Midwest. I spent this last year going to 6 of them in the Midwest and doing a presentation on some of the cultural aspects of DevOps. Well, what I'm wanting to talk about here a little bit is, I think as far as a trend that I expect to start happening over this next year, maybe it's because of the political landscape. Maybe it's because of some other movements in other places. I use the word places as a very generic term, but things like the Me Too hashtag that have been going on social media. I think, especially in tech, we may be on the cusp of something big, and I don't really want to say like a witch hunt to some degree. That would lessen the entire message of the movement in the first place. But we've kind of gotten to a saturation point where I feel the tech industry has too many of what I like to dub as tech bros. The concept that there's somebody always sitting on the top of a pyramid and everybody else is of some rung, whether it's a ladder or somewhere they're beneath them. And I kind of feel that, especially as I've been getting into, say, this DevOps movement, where everybody else from a cultural aspect inside of organizations is trying to be considered equals at the table as far as projects are concerned, as far as input is concerned. Just this whole idea, this perpetuation that we have of some individuals, especially high profile or, God forbid, loud individuals, either in social media or physically at particular events. I mean, I know Paul here, we were just having a conversation before this about the fact that, he's personally seen individuals, especially either women, minorities, some of the more underrepresented groups within the tech field, just basically treated horribly. And that, pardon my language, that shit doesn't stand anymore. Right now, that stuff needs to be called out, and we need to start cleaning up tech as far as attitudes and perceptions are concerned, because it should be open to anybody with any idea of how to improve pretty much anything, not just limited to a bunch of egotistical people sitting on the top of a made-up ladder thinking that they have to own every decision that is made and everybody else is just essentially a body to hurdle to get to some weird summit that makes them feel better about themselves. I just feel like, like a day of reckoning is probably upon this particular industry, no different than, say, the entertainment industry or politics or whatever those groups are going through right now. And I don't think I really need to get it. The problem with that particular discussion is I can take it way too political, and I'm not sure that's what we want to do with that discussion quite yet.
Right. Yeah, it's, if we can, much like in politics or in Hollywood, avoiding chasing only Republicans or only Democrats. Like, it's a bigger issue than where you lay. It needs to be addressed as like a human issue.
Yeah, this is an every single one of us issue, not a particular subset or a particular group. It's while they end up getting most of the ire and most of the direction in some of these things that are happening to them. It's on us, kind of like as you mentioned. If you're seeing that stuff at conferences, call it out, make it public. Not only just like in the moment, but let the event organizers know that it's happening. I mean, these events have codes of conduct for a particular reason, and it's for things like this, because not only does it make you look bad as an individual, not look like a jerk on top of it, but at the same time, you also have liabilities from the conference perspective, or from we're in a very litigation oriented society, so. You sure you want to start poking around and making everybody feel really horrible about themselves to the point where now you've delved definitely into legal harassment at that particular point? Yeah, you're walking a very tight line and thinking that you're untouchable from that perspective, when we're starting to find no one's untouchable.
Some pretty powerful words from John on a topic I think we all need to be more aware of in our professional and personal lives. John and I will be addressing IT culture a bit deeper in a future episode of the podcast as well. My ask is that you all treat each other as equals, and if you see improper behavior, let's shut it down. We've got many amazing and bright individuals in our V community. Let's help each other be the best technologists and humans that we can be. As always, thank you for listening. If you'd like to be a guest on the ExploreVM podcast, have a show idea for a future episode, or continue the conversation on today's topics, please email me at paul@explorevm.com, facebook.com/explorevm, or explorevm on Twitter. Once again, thank you for listening.